Hello everyone and welcome to a tutorial on how to build a programmable LED panel. Now, on the board we have a picture of our Arduino here, and on one side you'll see a series of pins. If I grab an Arduino, right here, there's a series of pins numbered from 1 through 13, and then they're followed by a GND, which is the minus terminal of a battery. Now the idea for every one of these pins is that they're input-output pins, and we're going to use them in the circuit as outputs. So you can write a little program with one line of code that turns any one of these pins on or off. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab 4 of these pins. I think, yeah, 6, 8, 10, and 12. So we're going to take 6, 8, 10 and 12, and we're going to put LEDs on them. Now that's going to look a bit crowded, but I think I'll manage. And resistors. Now they're all going to go to the earth, which effectively means they're going to be connected to the GND pin. Now, all you need to know when it comes to code is effectively one line here. You're going to write inside the loop segment, you're going to write digital, and forgive my handwriting, digitalWrite. Now, pick your pin, maybe 6. 6, comma, capital letters, high. What this does is it turns this pin on, which will then light up our LED. Now, we're going to then write another line of code that says delay, and in bracket, whatever number of milliseconds. Now, 1,000 means 1 second. So 1,000 followed by a semicolon, and there's a semicolon here, which is like telling the computer to execute this command. This will turn on this LED, wait for 1 second, and then you can do the same thing as before. Digital write 6, comma, low. Semicolon, and then delay again, maybe 1,000. So if you were to put these 4 lines of code into the loop section of the program, what you would get is an LED, this one coming on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off every second. And with just effectively 2 commands, digitalWrite and delay, you can make a pattern of lights flash in a rather cool way. You can have them all come on in a row, or all at once, all off. Now, with this program, there's no real depth of understanding. I want you guys to watch the video. The program is going to appear with the image on the side. Just type it in, see what happens, play around with the numbers. In the tutorial after this, we'll take a very step-by-step systematic approach to programming. What I want you guys here is to get a first impression and just play around with some code, change some numbers, maybe have that at 100 instead of 1,000, and see what happens. Just have a play and have fun. Let's build it.
Okay, so let's get started. This is the simplest ever Arduino circuit, simplest ever programmed circuit, should I say. On that side of your screen is the program. As you can see, it simply is going to turn pin 11 high, wait for a second, 1,000 milliseconds, 1 second, and then turn it low. Effectively, that is going to make pin 11 go on and off. 1 second on, 1 second off, 1 second on, 1 second off. And we're going to use that to get an LED to blink. 1 second on, 1 second off. Before we get started, what you're going to need to do to upload this program once you've written it into your Arduino is press the upload button over there. And after you've pressed it, a very important thing is to look right there in your Arduino. The TX and RX buttons, they just blinked. And here I'll do it again. Yep, that there is an indication that your Arduino has received the program. It is communicating with your computer. And it's uploaded it. If those two LEDs do not blink, your Arduino is not working properly, and whatever you do on the circuit is not going to help it. So make sure that happens even before you get started with making a circuit. So let's get started. As usual, we connect the G and the E in to the blue rail. Now, instead of power, we're going to use the 11 pin out. So that is going to be 8, 9, 10, 11. Now this little cable is eventually going to power an LED, but let's first get the LED in. Now we're just going to get the short leg of the LED, which is this one. We're going to get it plugged into the earth because the short goes into the earth. And we're going to get the long leg plugged into this rail, but in order not to maybe burn out our LED, we're just going to use the standard 330 ohm resistor. So this guy goes, yep, he's already in the breadboard. Resistor goes in there. We put it in somewhere in the middle, I don't know, row 16. And when we put in the blue wire, this guy should start blinking. There we go. And the simplest way to modify this code would be basically to change the delays and change the blinking speed. And here's a small demonstration. So that's going to be with a delay of 100. Light's going on and off 10 times a second. Or 5 times a second. So every tenth of a second it changes from on to off. And there you go. That's a very good way to start. Okay, so now we're going to upload the program on the right, which is essentially going to give us a panel of 4 LEDs that we can program to do what we like. At present, if you look at it, it essentially turns on 4 LEDs one by one and then turns them off one by one, which creates a bit of a pattern. So to get started, as usual, we connect the blue rail on the breadboard to the ground. Now we're just going to plonk 4 LEDs in with their short legs in the ground and the long legs into the breadboard. We're just going to spread them out nicely so that they create, reasonably a pattern. And now LEDs, as usual, are connected to a resistor before being powered by our pin outputs, which I think are 5 volts. So now, as you can see in the program, we're using 4 outputs. I think I've selected pins 6, 8, 10, and 12, and the reason why is because these breadboard wires are a little bit wide in this section, so it's much easier to plug them in if they're not right next to each other. But even if they are right next to each other, they'll still jam somehow. So we'll just go ahead and put 4 of these guys in to 6, 8, 10, and 12, and just connect them in an orderly manner, one by one. So into the resistor that's connected into the LED. Oh, no, that guy's in the wrong spot. There, and there. And when we're ready, just hit upload. Alright. Yes, it's working. And this is what the program does. As you can see, once it basically turns them all on and turns them all off, it goes back to the beginning and turns them all on one by one and then turns them all off and goes on forever. So let's try some simple modifications. Alright, so this is what happens when we change the delay to 100. Woo! Alright, so this one here is going to be police lights. As you can see, you can program almost any pattern in just by writing down a different sequence of, digitalWrite pin high, digitalWrite pin low, delay 100 milliseconds or 200 milliseconds. In effect, I think that this is just about the best type of circuit to start practicing your programming on. So, there you go, you've got the program, go nuts!